Thank you, Chris. Before we do that, it's time for another ultimate giveaway. So let's jump right into it. And Caleb, why don't you go ahead? We're giving away this 49cc Coleman scooter, which I love and I think are perfect for around the campground or running to the store.
Absolutely.
Let's
Might
do
be
it.
a little chilly here in Minnesota, but you know, what you got to do before we give this thing away is you got to register to be eligible for these giveaways. $250,000 to this 10 weeks. So text URVS to 46642 or comment URVS below to be eligible.
All right, we got the Golden Globes coming up in a couple of weeks, and I've been the voice for 26 years of that show, and one of the things that we are like sticklers about is names. You have to get everybody's name right. Foreign film director could be a little tough sometimes, so I practiced this name. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You want my Golden Globe voice?
Let's hear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Coleman 49cc scooter is Lori Kwiatkowski.
Yeah!
That's right, Lori Kwiatkowski. It's spelled really awesome, and it just sounds like a television name. So, Lori, congratulations.
Congratulations.
She won the
Lori.
scooter.
I love it. This is going to be a beaut. Can't wait for you to get that.
All right. One of the things that we've learned over the course of the last several weeks is you said something in the segment you were talking about with Cousin Ernie or Cousin Eddie about learning something new every week.
Yeah, we've been doing this 2.5 years, and we actually got into the polar vortex, and we pulled some rookie mistakes. We had water in our tank that got frozen, the gray tank and the black tank froze. So we had a very good learning experience this week in cold weather camping.
Yeah, you can learn. You can put some antifreeze in your gray tank, in your black tank to make sure the connections don't freeze. That's one of the things that you really want to learn. We also want to learn about some of our guest hosts that we have throughout the weeks. As a matter of fact, take a look and intro or get to know Mary and Zach a little bit better.
G'day, I'm Mary O'Neill Phillips. I am an Australian television host that lives in Nashville. I work in country music and for the Outdoor Channel.
And I'm Zach Phillips. I've worked in video production my whole life, and now I am helping Mary with the Country Adventures tour.
So if Zach and I are ever hunting together, there's usually one of us filming and one of us hunting. Most of the time it's Zach filming because that's what he does for a living and he's really good at it. But we both will scout for each other. We both keep an eye out for what's going on. It's really important to be sitting there being quiet and still, and we both respect each other's time that we're putting in to our hunts.
I think we make a pretty good team because I'm deaf, she has good hearing, she can't see, I see really good. So put those things together, it works out.
Perfect.
We decided to get into RVing because we're always traveling, we're going to hunting camps across the country, and it just seemed like it would really simplify things for us. We have all our gear with us, we have our own space, we can have our dog, and it just makes traveling a lot easier.
So we have a golden retriever called Forrest Gump, and Forrest Gump loves to run as expected. And that's what's great about the RV, because I can open the door and he can just run free. What I love about the RV life is I get to travel and park my home absolutely anywhere across the country. We have stayed in the Badlands on the top of the mountains. We've stayed in Montana on a farm. And right now we're in Kansas, so we get to travel and park our home in all of these amazing locations around rural America, and we don't have to pay for hotel rooms. When you travel as much as we do, it gets really tiring to be unpacking and packing constantly, going in and out of hotels, in and out of people's homes. So being able to have all of your things right here, be able to just pull up, even if it's just a Walmart parking lot, you can get out, hop into your home and go to bed right there. I love it.
I love the RV lifestyle because it provides some freedom for us. We can leave and it's a less stressful way of travel for me. It slows us down, it makes us enjoy where we're at and not always be rushing trying to get to the next place. And we've encountered some pretty cool stuff along the way that we wouldn't have otherwise. And for us with hunting, we always have our bows, we have a lot of gear, and it just is nice to have somewhere to put it while we travel, because trying to fly or take stuff in and out of a hotel can be a nightmare.
One of the other things that I love about the RV lifestyle is the community. We have met so many cool people staying in different parks along the way. A lot of people have their pets and kids and stuff around too, and it's become very appealing for us. We often have this conversation where We used to think that the RV lifestyles were just for when you retire, but we've met so many young couples that are either just young married couples like us or young families that have taken their family and their life on the road as well, and it's really great.
Camping is so appealing to me because the community, the friends. Yeah, we love hunting, we love the destination we go to, but when we come back to have a cool spot to hang out, sit around the campfire, play some music, and just enjoy being where we're at, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think what the similarities between the camping community and the hunting community is we all just want to spend as much time outdoors as we can, and we have access to that, so you definitely have a little bond over that.
We use our RV for multiple purposes, but a lot of times we're on the road hunting and fishing. And most of the time, the locations we're at are pretty rural, and a hotel could be 30 minutes away, an hour away. For us to be able to stay on the property, it just provides more time in the outdoors and ultimately just more convenient for us.
Also, if we're able to pull up our toy hauler and have our ATV in the back, it means that we can literally go straight from the camper to our hunting spot, and that is very appealing for us. We can get ready in the mud room, and we don't have to drag anything into the actual house part of the camper, and that has been a huge appeal for us because when it's really cold and muddy, we can just strip off in there and then come in here and be cozy.
When we started the Country Outdoors Adventures, Camping World came on as a sponsor, and prior to that, we'd never owned an RV. I mean, I'd stayed in a couple, but never had one of my own. We learned a lot and really realized what we'd been missing out on and how perfect it is for our lifestyle.
Yeah, and I had no idea how nice an RV could be. I thought I just had this like old image in my head, and then when I got to go through all the different units and have a look at it, my mind was absolutely blown. Like, look at this, guys. It's so cozy.
If anything, it taught me that how little we need, because I don't feel like I need to go home. I'd rather just be here most of the time, and I don't miss most of the things that I have sitting in the garage. So
I would never look back at this point. I think this has given us the ability to do something really cool. It's kept us out of the cities during this crazy year that we've been going through, and it keeps our pop by our side. And I love it.
I'll tell you what, we love having you guys as partners. Sean Parr, I've got Tiffany Remington here, and this is one of our favorite segments where we get a chance to sit down and get to know you guys. We just saw a wonderful piece on who you guys are, but it is so great to sit down and get to chat and let the folks that are tuning in know why you chose the RV lifestyle. And Mary, I love the fact that you said several times you had no idea how you could just take your home and everything you have and just take it on the road with you. How did you guys get started on the whole RV lifestyle segments?
Yeah, last spring we went on the road for turkey season for Country Outdoors, and just kind of fell into it with the camper. Neither one of us had ever had a camper before, and we hit the road and we lived out of it all spring, which if you were ever going to do that, last spring was the time to do it. It was amazing. We stayed away from everybody. We hunted. We were in the outdoors, safe, and had fun. And yeah, we didn't know what we were doing, but we learned a lot about it and had a lot of fun along the way.
And Mary, were you nervous about that?
Look, I was really over going in and out of hotels and Airbnbs and all of that, and it was actually really expensive. So the idea of getting a camper seemed like it would be a lot more convenient, but I didn't expect them to be as luxurious on the inside as what they are today. So that was a really nice surprise, and it just became so convenient for us. Meant that we could take our dog Forrest Gump everywhere with us, which is like a huge bonus for me. So I'm completely sold on it, and I'll never look back.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, we were talking yesterday, is this the trailer that you guys had when you towed with the truck that was around 300,000 miles or so? You have to tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we have since upgraded, but back then we had my old truck from my college days, and it was not fit for the road, probably, to be honest. We crossed 310,000 miles.
Yes.
You made it.
It made it. It never broke down. So
we had a travel trailer at that point, and we were pulling this truck, which Zach calls it something else. I call it Old Faithful. Use your imagination on that one. And no, we pulled that truck from Florida all the way up to Minnesota, actually. And it actually did the job. It only had a couple of flat tires, but we then since upgraded to a toy hauler because we just found as outdoors men and women, it's more suitable for us with our lifestyle, you know, having that room for a mud room and to take our UTVs and all of that around. So
Yeah, and I'm glad you said mudroom, because when you have a fifth wheel like that, a toy hauler where the back, you brought that vehicle that just rolls right out, and then you can go right to your hunting grounds. But then, Zach, you mentioned this the other day when we got a chance to sit down and chat. And get to know each other a little bit better. You were talking about, getting out there and you're in the mud and you're turkey hunting or you're deer hunting, you're in a deer stand and you're just, filthy, and you go into your mud room and you just take everything off and it stays there. You don't want to run all that stuff through your nice, Fusion fuel, beautiful fifth wheel. You don't want to track everything through.
Absolutely, yeah. We use that back room as a mud room. That's our space where we can throw all our gear, stomp in when we come out of the mud, out of the snow, and I don't get yelled at for tracking my boots through the camper.
well, the room is really versatile as well. When it's just us, we make it a mud room and we use both chairs and we sit there and get ready. But we have a camera guy with us on the road a lot as well. And what is good is the chairs actually fold into a queen size bed, and we can still put all of our tubs underneath that bed and have a full bed for the camera guy too.
Yeah.
And it's warm, it's secure, it's airtight, but we've got a separate space from the camera guy as well.
And I'm glad you said separate space, Tiffany.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about that in the past. Having that, separation, camera guy feels like he's on the other side of the world in another hotel room, and you guys are up front in your very comfortable overhead bunk.
Yeah, and it's just the privacy factor as well. Those things are absolutely huge.
Yeah.
They can fit a lot in. They can fit an ATV and a bed and everything else. So we really like it. I think in the future we might upgrade to something that's a little bit bigger, just because we now are realizing with all of our camera gear and everything like that, we'd like to have a little bit more storage as well. So while we're here in Minnesota, we're going to go and check out a couple more units, maybe the Fusion.
We will be shopping, so we may have you give us a tour.
I'd be more than happy to do that, because I know a thing or two about the Fusions. I'm all about the toy haulers and the toy boxes and the fun stuff, but I really like the fact that you just made it all about the mudroom, and that really painted such a clear picture for so many people that never really thought about it that way.
Well, also with all the tubs, so we have a tub for everything, which is a great thing for when you're taking a camper, is just storage. And so we have tubs for our hunting gear, we have tubs for our camera gear, for our bow and arrows. And what is good about those, the toy hauler room, is they've got the heavy duty flooring. So you don't really want that to be in your main living quarters, because it'll scratch up the...
Exactly.
So it's great to just put everything in there, and then it's just very heavy duty when you're driving. Even if it gets knocked around, it's not going to damage anything.
Sure.
When did you guys make the transition from your travel trailer to the toy hauler?
Before whitetail season. We knew going into that we were going to be getting into colder weather and there'd be mud, and we wanted to have that space to be able to strip off in and get into our actual living quarters without all of that mess.
Sure.
Yeah, our first trip, and it was in August. We went to Charleston, South Carolina, and we're fishing. And that's where we realized that the mudroom was nice, because we were coming in with sand all over our feet. So we'd come in through the back, take our shoes off, and go inside.
I see you had the parents in your head going, if I've told you once, I've told you once, look at the floor, what are you doing?
Yep. And also having a dog as well. If if it's a bit cold outside, I'll give him a wash outside, but then I'll let him dry off in the toy hauler section before bringing him into the actual living area too, because you know what dogs are like. They just shake around until they get dry.
And so Caleb and I, we've never been hunting, but after speaking with you guys this week and getting to know y'all, what are some of your tips for first-time hunters or someone who wants to go out ice fishing or doing any of the outdoor stuff?
Man, I think any fishing trip is great to get people into the outdoors.
Yep.
As far as hunting goes, I love to take people turkey hunting or waterfowl. I just think it's a good social aspect to it. It's a little bit less stress. You're comfortable and fun.
My tip would be just don't be too intimidated to not give it a go. There are tools absolutely everywhere these days. You come into a gander, you look on your local game and fish websites, you can find how-tos everywhere. There are classes that you can go to if you come to a gander, and you just ask, hey, I want to get set up for a bow, or I want to buy a shotgun, and they'll tell you what to do. That you can get your licenses here, and everything YouTube these days, there's how to, or you can just ask me and I'll take you for the first time.
Well, I was just going to say, thank you so much for just being so open with your entire journey of just transitioning into all of this, because, as women, we're not normally seen as the outdoorsy or like going hunting or ice fishing or doing any of the things that you do. And it's really great to have a figure like yourself and another figures out there kind of show others like me the ropes on that. So it's really encouraging.
Well, the difference between Zach and I is he grew up in the outdoors. I grew up with a farm and riding motorbikes since I was 2, but I got into hunting 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was later in life when I got into hunting, and so I always encourage the entry into the sport to be quite easy, because if I'm able to do it, anybody else can, you know?
One of those, sure. And you know what's great about Mary is, Tiffany, getting a chance to know you two so well is we're from Nashville, both of us, and you get a chance to take some great country stars out and record those adventures with your cameras and your crews and all that great stuff too. So you really have been living the lifestyle for a long time. And I love your adventures, and we can follow you too. Let everybody know how they can get a hold of you guys and how they can follow along.
Yep, so our show airs exclusively to start off with on Outdoor Channel's digital outlets, so Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can also go to countryoutdoors.com and you'll find all of our episodes there. I also host a concert series with country artists, which is based around the outdoors in Nashville every month. Camping World also airs the content too, so we've got it in a couple places. And Mossy Oak Go.
Oh, we love that. Now, here's a cool thing, and I think we'd all agree with the ice fishing segments that we've done so far and some of the clothing and some of the tents that we're going to see throughout the weekend. I'm from Southern California. I have never been in minus temperatures. We are in a polar vortex in the upper Midwest, and I would never in a million years think about ice fishing. I mean, I grew up surfing in Huntington Beach and along the Southern California coastline in Malibu. And now I'm in Minnesota. It's minus 18 degrees, and I could not wait to get out after talking to our pros here at the Gander RV and Outdoor. I could not wait and seeing some of the equipment to get out, and I'm ready to ice fish today. Let's go. I've got my gear. I've got my fishing poles. It's the same concept because I'm a fishing nut. But a lot of folks, I'm sure, in Florida or all the places we've been so far would think the exact same thing about ice fishing.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Georgia originally, so I don't do the cold that well. I have to acclimate. And going around with the specialists and looking at all the gear, you can really do it and be extremely comfortable. And that's what's been cool to see this week. And we're going out ice fishing tomorrow. We're going to be in a nice heated hut, comfortable as can be, and fishing.
And that's the difference is I think, oh, it's going to be cold, it's going to freeze. No, not with the stuff that we have to offer here. I was shocked seeing the huts that you have available to you, the 2-seaters, and you got the heaters available, and just the clothing alone.
The Strike
to
Master
make sure.
too.
Yes, the Strike Master stuff that I had on yesterday was spectacular and warm. And that's the key, because if I'm going to go skiing or if I'm going to go fishing or hunting or whatever, I get cold, I'm done. Sorry, but that's just how it is.
I think it's really great because stores like this are just continuing to encourage people to get outdoors and stay outdoors no matter what season it is.
Yep.
So winter, the fun doesn't need to stop in winter. You've got everything here and you can continue it and bring your kids out. Even if your kids don't want to ice fish, they can sit in the little house and watch a TV show until they suss out what's going on and go, okay, I might give it a try now, Dad. Yeah, it's awesome. There's something for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would be, a couple months ago, I was like, I don't know if I can do the winter. And now that we've been traveling for, a month and a half, it truly is just getting over the mindset of getting out into the cold. Because there is, like what you were saying before and how you guys even just live the lifestyle, there's so many accessories, so many knickknacks that are out there and that are available at Camping World and Gander RVs that truly can make you feel comfortable in the winter. And yeah, the cold shouldn't stop any of the fun.
Yeah, and Tiffany, I'm glad you brought this up, because what were some of the things in the beginning, Mary, that you learned, and you too, Zach, about being out in that RV, maybe in the cold?
Or being prepared and having enough propane for sure. We were driving from Kansas to South Dakota and we got stuck in a blizzard and had to park in a Walmart parking lot last Easter. We didn't have any propane left. Walmart was closed and we woke up Easter Sunday with all the blankets on top, could barely open the door, and we were like, yeah. So that was a hard lesson to learn pretty quick.
Yeah, and a lot of these units come with the fireplace electric space heater. The next one I get will definitely have that.
Yeah, there you go. So it's called an upgrade. We love those. And I think 90% of those, Tiffany, and you and I have seen a lot of these vehicles
So
lately.
many.
All the 2021s, the entertainment centers, all have that beautiful fireplace. And that is also electric, which doesn't use the propane. And trust me, it keeps everything nice and toasty.
It sure does, and it is key. And like speaking on more of the things, because Caleb and I have been learning and we've been chatting too. I'm like, the heaters for your gray and black water tanks, if your underbelly is exposed, like ours is, we learned the hard way. We did have our tank freeze, and it takes, a few days to thaw out, and you have to pull it in somewhere that you can actually thaw it out as well. So the heat pads are huge, having propane, like you said, keeping the heaters on and making sure that, the inside of the cabin is warm to keep your pipes warm as well. Again, a lot of it sounds very intimidating, but if you do a couple of the things, you're golden. It really isn't that scary.
I think one of the big lessons that I learned from the very beginning was that I should have gone straight into Camping World and just buy the products that I was going to finish out my kitchen with from there, because I brought all my nice glassware and plates and everything from home. And if they rattle around, they break. But Camping World sells everything that you could possibly need for your camper here.
Yeah.
So then after that happened, I went and bought everything, and I've never had the problem again.
Well, and that's one thing I've noticed also. As I get ready to go into a Class A, I have questions, and I've learned so much just being on this tour for the last year or so. We've been out working with our family here at Camping World, and I am a question junkie. I ask all these questions. So when we get to Class A, we're going to pull it into the driveway, and we're going to actually camp in there. We're going to go through the motions and plug everything in. And I'm learning stuff about, Tiffany, as you said, black tanks and gray tanks and fresh water and how do you flush it and do all that stuff. And we're going to do those drills until it becomes second nature, because my wife is nervous too. I've been out in RVs my whole life. She's been out in Glamoths in the desert and stuff where it's warm and toasty and everybody's doing everything for her as a kid. But now that, we're going to do it together, she's intimidated and she's nervous. What would you say to somebody that wants to do something like this and just getting into it?
Yeah, when we started a year ago, we knew very little. And when we went to the store and picked up our unit, we had a sales member walk us through everything. And like you said, don't be scared to ask questions, because they can answer them. And we did that. We spent probably an hour going through that camper with that guy. And the resources are there. It's very easy to figure out what to do.
I would also encourage you to write a checklist and just stick it up in your camper and run through it every time you go to use it and every time you go to shut it down. And then you've got it there and it's just easy.
Yeah.
Stick it to the fridge.
I think all three of you kind of nailed it. I think the walkthrough exactly itself is push all the buttons and test everything out. Some things are going to break, and that's just inevitable. It's going to happen. But things break in your house, things break in your car, and you have to understand that there are two of those coming together, especially if you're in like a motorhome.
Yeah.
So you kind of roll with the punches. And the community is so amazing. Online, in person, everyone's always willing to help. Everyone always has some kind of suggestion to try to solve your issues. So,
and you just said the key word there, Tiff, and I'm glad you said that. A community, when you go out, is so important. But when you come into a Camping World, when we were in Houston and talking to Scott, he's the GM there at Camping World, it was amazing to ask him questions about, I was in the Class A, and I said, what about this one? Well, what about the A29 or 27 or the A30? And then we went to coming here, or Randall in Nashville, who is right there. All of these guys want to help. They know their equipment. They know their stuff. They're excited because this is ownership for them. They take pride in what they do, and they're really, really good at it. So with that in mind, that's why my wife and I decided that we were ready to do this and take the next step. Because toy haulers, we've been having a ball. My kids are grown now. It's just us. We're, empty nesters?
Yeah. The little birdies flew away. Empty nesters.
Yeah, they're in the warm sunshine of California while Dad is out here in minus 18 degrees and loving it, by the way.
Yeah.
And getting ready for our next adventure. And Mary, you talk about this a lot. Adventure is the key to what you two are all about.
Yeah, my dad used to have a saying called "the journey is just as important as the destination," and that's something that I
love
really
that.
tried to live my life by, and we try to incorporate into how we go with the Country Outdoors adventure. Yes, it's about making content, but it's about stopping in all those small towns along the way, chatting to people, getting to know them, and just like you said before, Tiffany, rolling with the punches, because nothing's guaranteed tomorrow. It might be the last adventure, so just enjoy it while you've got it.
Yeah.
I love that. Speaking of adventures, what have been some of your favorite spots that you guys have visited along the way?
We stayed in a really great campground in Charleston. I believe it is rated one of the top in the country. It was just beautiful with all the trees, your RV spots were very private, and the campgrounds were private, but the community there was so happy and lovely. And I don't know if that's to do with the warmer weather. You know, people generally, when they've got vitamin D, are just in good moods. But we chatted to so many lovely people that were living in the campground, the workers, and I don't know, it was great. But they had an activity park there. They had a huge pond for the kids to fish in, and there was just a lot of different recreational activities around that campground as well. So I thought it was like a great place to take your kids and a small family.
Yeah, and
very pet friendly.
When you go back to the word community, when you pull into a campground like that, and that's the thing, is if you have a question, and Tiffany and Caleb have mentioned this many times, when they've gone to a campground and had a question about something, and people come over, they're there for you. You can ask them, and that's what we're excited about, because listen, we have a beautiful country. I mean, from coast to coast, you can travel and see all of these parks, and with being a member of Good Sam, we have all of it right there. And I call it the Good Sam Bible, because it has so many great campgrounds and hunting areas that you can actually go to. Give us some examples of where you've gone to hunt that you've absolutely loved.
And last turkey season, we wound up in Montana, and talking about using that as a reference. We were hunting a lot of public land, so state forest, BLM, and man, it's just so beautiful out there in southeast Montana. That was one of the most fun trips we had.
And South Dakota, we were, pretty much parked in the Badlands with the mountains in the background. And these are just places that, unless you have that's Kansas, all of these really remote. Rural America is amazing. I love rural America. Just saying that to all of you guys. We've been welcomed with open arms by a lot of different communities, but the places that you can go and stay when you have a camper, I didn't know existed. And for me, I just love being in big, wide country. And so that's been pretty special for us to just have that. And Forrest gets to see all of these places too.
Yeah, your dog, I just love that. And you can do it safely, which is great, especially, today.
Yeah, and kind of just to piggyback off of that, I'm just thinking when we went boondocking and all of that stuff, it's just so nice to be almost in silence, but also get to enjoy very presently all of the things that are around you, whether if it's like the trees rustling or the birds that are chirping, or even all of the animals that are just hopping around along in the grass. You don't notice those things, especially in everyday life with all of the distractions that we have, and to be able to sit, breathe, and just be aware of your surroundings is something that is so, I think, just refreshing.
Yeah. The camper can take you to places where you can actually be present.
And Zach, you said something to me yesterday. You said, I don't remember the last time we actually watched television, because we're just always out there. We're always filming, and we're always in nature, and we're always present. And I love that.
Yeah, and that's what's been nice about the toy hauler too. It keeps us closer to the activity that we're doing. Instead of before, we'd have to get a hotel and drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes to where we're actually doing whatever activity it is. Now we're staying right there on site. So it's more time in the outdoors for us, and we're always busy.
All right, so you guys have made, and this is coming up on my favorite segment, where we have our partner picks. We do customer picks, we do staff picks, but we have our partner picks, where you guys have actually chosen something that we're going to take a look at, and you guys are going to walk us through it. And what have you picked for us today?
It's the XLR Boost toy hauler.
Oh, boy. Which is might be something you could be looking at very soon.
I was just going to ask. I'm like, is
Definitely
that
could
something
be.
that y'all are interested in?
It's on the list.
All right, so when you were looking, and because you guys have been out now, and I've seen you in and out of all these incredible vehicles, what exactly are you looking for that's the next level from what you already have?
For us right now, we're looking at space. Having the slide outs that give us the space, and then in the back room having a bunk for a camera guy when he's with us.
Yeah.
That's the main thing right now.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of the dinette and having the right space for the dinette. When you've got a camera guy with you, you need a little bit more space. And we tend to use our dinette as a workspace for our laptops, for editing and all of that as well. So something that's really functional in that way. And then we've got one of the fold-up beds at the moment, which I quite like because it's another way to store stuff and to be able to get around that. So that's a good one too. But I actually think I might like to have a look at one of the beds where you can walk in and go to either side.
I love it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the partner pick, and that is coming up as the national tour continues.